Hey, what's up? It's Leaf from Freeskier, and these right here are the only 4 gloves you will ever need to buy. And to explain why, I have a very special guest. Cody, you want to come on in?
Well, certainly.
This is Cody Townsend. You've probably seen him before. Freeride legend, just kind of has had this big explosion on YouTube with the 50 series and now into the 50 plus. Welcome, Cody.
Oh, stoked to be here.
Sweet. So right here we have your layering system from Hestra. And before we dive into like each glove and why they're here and why you use them, let's just talk about what a layering system is as a whole.
Yeah. So when I started like ski mountaineering, started the 50 coming from a freeride world, I used to just pack like 2 or 3 pairs of gloves in my backpack and you just use them. And then when you start touring, you start realizing like, well, I have limited amount of space. I want to limit the amount of weight I'm bringing out there. And I started trying to think differently. And I started realizing, I was like, wait, we kind of layer our like outerwear. We layer the way we have our base layers and our mid layers and our outer layers. And I started thinking, I was like, wait, why don't we do those for our hands? Because I would go out into the backcountry and I have like 4 different gloves and, you know, I'd have this bag in my backpack like this big and it would just have no room for anything else. And it started dawning on me, I started looking at the Hestra catalog in kind of a new way and kind of realizing, I was like, wait, if I can kind of work with these gloves to cover like a very wide range of temperatures, because when you're ski touring, you can go from very warm, being like at the bottom of the mountain, when you're ski touring, to going to the top, and the summit can be very cold, it can be very windy, you get up there, you're sweaty, and then you can get really cold really quick. So how do you cover that wide range of temperatures with the most minimal amount of gear? And that's when I started thinking about layering. I don't claim to have invented that. Maybe other people thought about this before then, but it was like, I thought about it for myself and started looking at Hestra's catalog and started thinking about how these gloves interact with each other.
Yeah, amazing. And how does this layering system, obviously doing a lot more touring these days and very, very, very long days, how does this layering system compare to your freeride days where you were heli skiing? Like, can you kind of talk about like the difference between the two?
Yeah, I mean, when I was freeriding, you're kind of like, you're either in a heli or you're near the ski resort or you're at a snowmobile or whatever. You always kind of have, let's say, a lodge to go back to.
Right.
So you kind of can bring a ton of stuff and you're only dealing with like a very narrow range of temperatures. So it would just be like, if, you know, I would bring like a couple pair of mitts or a couple pair of gloves to see if they got wet or whatever. And I just really didn't have to think about what I brought. But when it comes to like ski touring, yeah, you really have to be specific because one, you're going to be out in the backcountry for a very long period of time. I mean, you can start at 3 in the morning and you're not getting back till 9 at night, you know? And so there's a lot more aspects of safety that go involved. There's a lot wider range of temperatures. You're much more exposed. So like you definitely have to be thinking about your gear in a different way than you do when you're free riding.
Amazing. Well, let's dive into these gloves here. I think first, let's start with these guys, you know, kind of start at the bottom and work our way up. This is the Windshield liner. I know that you choose this liner specifically out of a lot of the other liners that Hestra makes. And let's kind of dive into like why you use these and what makes them so great and where they fit in this kind of system.
Yeah, so I've tested every single liner that Hestra makes. I'm lucky that way.
Yep.
I get free gloves. And I've kind of stopped with the Windshields as to be like the best liner for going uphill and for part of this layering system because of many factors. The first, durability. So this liner, when you are ski touring, you're gripping your poles, they're always kind of going up and down your poles. You can wear out liners pretty quickly. These ones last you a very long time. They've got grip on the palm. The palm is very breathable, so you can kind of get that heat out of your hand that you build up while going up, but yet the backing is got a windshield and it's kind of wind-proof. So, you know, that cold wind that's coming in, your hands are getting a little warm, it kind of keeps that chill off of your hand. I also like kind of the felt right here. It's nice and cozy. Yeah. You know, you get that like snot dripping off, you kind of wipe it off. Like the snotty kids.
Yeah, you got to be cozy out there, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So this is the liner I've kind of landed on as being like my favorite kind of uphill liner.
Sweet. Let's move on to the Ergo grip. Obviously, this is a little bit beefier than the Windshield liner, but where does this fit in and why do you love it so much?
So So the Ergo grip, I use this for a number of different reasons. If it's going to be colder, if it's going to be snowy, if it's like dumping, like in a Tahoe blizzard where it's snowing 3 inches an hour, this becomes my uphill glove for those kinds of conditions. So colder conditions uphill where you are building up heat, but you just need that extra little bit of warmth. It's got the Gore-Tex soft shell on the back, so it's breathable, but it's got some layer of kind of waterproofness, water resistance. It's got the leather front, so leather being a natural material definitely has that sort of kind of breathability as well. It's got the Army leather wool liner, that's breathable as well. And then if you wax the leather, it also becomes waterproof. But also beyond that, it's my spring glove.
Right.
So when it's really warm, if I'm like spring and Tahoe, maybe I'm touring without a glove, and this is just my downhill glove. So this is a glove that I find can go from a very wide range of temperatures, cold on the way up or warm in the spring.
Sweet, and let's talk about the big guns right here. 3-finger Army leather Gore-Tex. These are beefy gloves, and let's kind of chat about it. Like, why do you love these? Why do you choose these? And why the 3-finger over a mitt? I know you've kind of talked about that a little bit, but let's kind of dive into those questions.
Yeah, so these are like my last layer of defense. And I like the Gore-Tex for, you know, your hands are going to be in the snow. You want that last layer to be that much more waterproof.
Right.
So when I'm out in the backcountry, if your hands are going to be like plunging when you're climbing a couloir, or you're just fiddling with stuff, or you just end up going to be, I don't know, in an emergency situation spending the night, I want something to be the last layer of defense. So I go with Gore-Tex. The reason why I go with a 3-finger as opposed to a mitt or even a 5-finger is you kind of get the dexterity of a 5-finger, meaning that I can still kind of manipulate things. I can mess with my buckles. I can maybe mess with a rope and still keep warm, but compared to a mitt, I get more dexterity, but I get more warmth than a glove. So this one, like, it's kind of like I can go to Denali with this, especially when used in a layering system. I can be in very early season cold temperatures. This is kind of my like do-it-all expedition, cold, last layer of defense glove.
Yeah, and I know a little tip that we mentioned before the shoot is this glove, or this 3-finger, can turn into a mitt if you just kind of shove your other finger next to the other ones right in here. Keeps you very warm.
If that one finger gets cold,
just put it in there, right? I think one other glove that's not here is the unlined version of this glove, but in the 5-finger. And now that we kind of have all these gloves, we'll leave this one as a little special treat for the end. A little bonus guy. But what are your favorite combinations between these three, and can you kind of talk to like where you use those combinations? Because I know you famously said take 3 gloves, get like 5 or 6. So you want to dive into that?
Yeah, I mean, I was just up ski touring in Alaska, very cold. I'm gonna be going up in here, and these are in my backpack, and that's it. Or I'm gonna be doing all 3, and I can kind of intermix for such a wide range of temperatures. So like the advantage of, instead of bringing like 4 pair of gloves to, you know, deal with like each temperature gradient that I'm going to go through, is that like I'm going to be able to stay warm, stay dry on the way up. And then like, you know, one of the things I talk about is like when you're on the way up, you build up a lot of heat within your hand. And so like, why waste that heat by taking this glove off, putting it in your backpack, and then jumping into another glove? The advantage of a layering system is like you have heat build up in this glove, and then you shove it right into here, and all of a sudden this glove is that much warmer. So you instantly, it's like putting a down jacket on when you get to the top. You know, you immediately stay warm. And so that's like kind of the concept of this layering, is like instead of like switching off into something cold, like getting into a cold sleeping bag and then trying to warm it up, you immediately get that thing warm by like having the retained warmth of that glove that you've been in, put it straight into that next glove. So
when researching kind of your layering system and kind of what to discuss about it, the first analogy that popped in my head is I would never put a down jacket on without a t-shirt. You know what I mean? And so kind of tying it into, you know, when you were building this this layering system, you were like, oh yeah, we layer with clothes. Why don't we layer with gloves? Like that like shot into my head. It's like, oh yeah, I like would never ever ever wear a down jacket without a t-shirt because that's a little weird.
That would be
it would be a little weird.
But then that's also the advantage of like having the layer, and we talked about the unlined Army Leather GTX. One of the things about that is if it's going to be cold, like early season temperatures, that's when this glove is what I'm going to bring. But if it's like slightly warmer, that'll be the glove I bring. I always kind of checking the weather. What is the coldest temperature I'm going to be experiencing, and then kind of based on what I'm going to be most likely experiencing, that's going to be like my last line of defense glove, and then using these gloves to intermix with it. The one thing I will also say is sizing them.
Yes,
is
let's
really
talk
important.
about sizing.
So these gloves, I always want to keep them quite tight. So for me, a size 9 is pretty tight on my hand. It almost like kind of barely fits.
Yeah, if you want to like pull your hand up, we can kind of get a close-up shot of that. I'll give a little squeeze there.
Yeah.
There's no room. I'm touching his finger right now.
Exactly. But I want that because of many different reasons. One, it's going to fit into an oversized. So if this is a size 9, this is going to be a size 10. It's going to fit into that much better. But then the second thing is like, if it's going to be that cold of a day, and let's say climbed a big couloir, we got to bust out ropes, descend something, like you're not going to be able to manipulate ropes with a glove this big. But you also do not want to be dealing with ropes and cold metal with bare hands. So you want something that's very dexterous, something that you can deal with and deal with a glove like this. So I want it to be very tight fitting. And the great thing with like natural materials like the Hestra leathers is that they shape to your hand. The more you use them, the more you wax them, the more they end up fitting. And I mean, the whole thing with the Ergo grip is like, this isn't me
doing anything.
That's my hand relaxed. It kind of like naturally goes to that place. So that's sizing is really important, as you always want to go up a size in your kind of over mitts.
I think with this layering system here, you were very honest about, as you're doing the 50, that you were learning all of this stuff about mountaineering and super long tours and spending time in the backcountry overnight. What was your like aha moment with the layering system where you were like, oh yeah, this is the way to do it? Yeah,
it was first year of the project, 2019, late April, early May, climbing Meteorite with Jeremy Jones. We started like, it's almost like 100 feet of elevation. It's pretty warm. Started like 1 in the morning, ended up being a 17-hour day. And as we're getting to the top, like it's getting pretty cold, and we're plunging ice axes, and it's like thigh deep powder. And so your hands are like deep in the snow. And I remember my hands getting pretty cold, and I had a pair of these thin Hestra over mitts, and they're waterproof, and I put them over whatever glove I had at the time. It might have even been these, and I forget exactly which glove, but all of a sudden I put those over and my hands warmed up and my hands were protected from the snow plunging. And all of a sudden it was like the rest of the climb, my hands were warm, my hands were dry, and it took this tiny little like glove package that was like this big and weighed only a few ounces. And it was that aha moment. I was like, oh, this layering system, there's something to it. This is like, instead of bringing 4 pair of gloves and taking up all my backpack space, I can kind of work with these gloves together to make something like greater than the sum of its parts.
Amazing. Now, let's bring out these guys. The Fall Guy glove. If you've watched an episode of the 50, you've probably seen these sneakily worn.
Definitely.
They're not sneakily, but they're just on all the time. And so like we have the layering system. Where do these guys fit in, and like why do you love them so much? And then I also want to touch on like, you use these for 7 years, you still use them, which means that you probably have taken really good care of them, despite probably skiing more than like most people. It's because it is your job. So how do you take care of these gloves, and like why do you love them so much?
So the Fall Guy gloves, not necessarily a ski glove, developed like in collaboration with like a legendary Swedish guide, but really good for skiing. The thing about them is they don't quite work into this layering system, but they're really good, and I just love them no matter what. And yeah, when I started the project, I ordered a pair from Hestra, And I remember it was at the end of the year, they were like, hey, do you want a new pair? And I was like, no, like mine are still working. And it kind of was like, I want to use like the same pair through the whole project and just kind of see how long they last. And sure enough, I'm still wearing the exact same pair. These white pair, they're definitely much browner and have like a nice
not as pretty. Not as pretty.
I could argue that they're kind of prettier.
Yeah, depending on the person. Depending on the person.
I like the worn-in look. Yeah. They're still going strong 7 years later, and I love the fact that like that's like that durability is like so cool out of a product. And then typically like professional athletes, we're always like encouraged by our sponsors to always have new, shiny, updated product.
Right.
The fact that they were like, yeah, just keep using those, and I got to show that like, no, these gloves lasted me 7 years of use, and I still use them. Used them up in Alaska a couple weeks ago. It's really cool, and yeah, taking care of them. It's important to take care of Hestra gloves. If you want to buy a cheap pair of gloves and don't want to take care of them, that's on your prerogative. That's the whole like buy it nice or buy it twice kind of concept. But like you need to wax these. Use the Hestra wax. You don't want to use the like Nick wax or Snow Seal. Those actually tend to dry out the leathers. You want to keep these kind of leathers very supple and soft because that can protect the stitching, that can protect the glove from like breaking or anything. So the actually Hestra brand wax is what you want to use, not just to like sell Hestra on it. It's just like it's a better wax. The other thing is like don't dry these out too quickly. You don't put these close to the fireplace. That'll tend to dry out the leather way too quickly, makes the leather brittle, makes it crack, makes the seams break, makes the stitching break. So if you do have those issues, it's most likely user fault is what I generally see. I don't want to put that totally on the people, but like the fact is like majority of people, and I just had a post about these, and majority of people are like, yeah, I've had mine for 7 years, 10 years, and they can last you forever. You got to take care of them. But
like anything nice.
Yeah, exactly. Anything nice. I mean, you're not going to buy a Porsche and never change your oil.
Right, exactly.
You do want to like put a little bit of love and care into them, and that's what's cool about them. And it's like not that much work. I generally wax them twice a year. Like once at the beginning of the year, maybe once before spring, and that's it. And then just don't dry them out too quickly. It's not
pretty easy relatively for keeping a glove for a long time.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, let's kind of, obviously you just had the Porsche analogy for Hestra. You've been with them for a very long time. And you continue to choose them. I know we talked before and you literally were like, hey, Hestra, I want to ski in your gloves. Can you kind of talk to like why you love their gloves so much? Obviously they've been around for like 100 years, so they do know what they're doing, but from your perspective, who uses them a lot, like why do you love them so much? And
it was when they started their U.S. subsidiary. I think I reached out to them, I emailed them, and I was like, hey, can I be sponsored? And they didn't really have an athlete team, and they didn't know what they were doing, and they were like, sure, we'll send you 2 pair of gloves. And I was like, sweet, it's a deal. I've been sponsored ever since. And they just, I love a company that does one thing and does that one thing well. They're not trying to branch out to do glasses or wallets or expand beyond what they're experts in. And I do a lot of product feedback with a lot of companies I work with. It's actually a company I don't do any product feedback with because they just kind of they do it well. So I don't really. I'm like, yeah, it works great. They keep coming out with stuff. I'm like, yep, works great. There's not much I have to say about it. So being a 3rd generation family owned, it's like pretty small company that isn't trying to be like, they're not trying to be the biggest brand in the world. They're trying to make good product and make product that lasts a long time. They're doing a lot of steps on the environmentally friendly side. They're doing all these like EcoCure leathers with different styles of tanning. And then what I also think on the environmental side too is like, buy a pair of gloves and last for 7 years. Like that's one less piece of equipment that's in a landfill. So I really like and appreciate that side of it as well.
Amazing. Well, I think we've kind of covered the whole layering system and each individual glove in there. Just to round it off, like if you were to describe like each of these gloves in 1 or 2 words, just to distill down like super duper small, like what would it be?
these are my Ultimate Touring, the Expedition, kind of the spring gloves, and then just the Workman.
Every day, man.
The Workman gloves.
Every day, 7 years. I think we covered it all.
Yeah, by Hestras.
Yeah, by Hestras, by Hestras. Sweet. Well, thank you, Cody, so much for joining us in the Gear Lab today, and we'll see you next time.
Right.
Peace.
Thanks for having me.